Have you ever felt stuck? Maybe you lose cell service in the middle of the mountains and are left trying to read those random maps your grandmother kept sticking in your car. Maybe you've got a gigantic report due at the end of the week and you don't even know where to start. Maybe your in-laws are coming into town and you feel like your house will never be clean enough. As a marine scientist, I get stuck all the time. There was this one day my coworkers and I were motoring to our next site, and all of a sudden, we look down, we're in inches of water. Oh, instead of stopping and turning around to find a deeper channel, we had the bright idea of getting out to go push. And it was going fine at first, but we started to feel some resistance. We figured, as long as we just keep pushing, the momentum of the boat will just carry us through to the deeper water, and we'll be fine. So we push, and we push, and we push harder, and the boat comes to a halt. So the three of us look at each other, trying to keep our cool. Maybe if one person lifts one side of the boat and the other two people push, nothing. What if we turn the boat around? Nope, the boat stayed put. What if one person stands on the front of the boat and shakes it a little bit to dislodge? Nothing. There's absolutely nothing we could do to get this boat to move. I stood there trying to wedge some pieces of bamboo under the boat to leverage it up, but do you remember that in-class activity where you're stranded on a deserted island with nothing but a lighter, a steel wool ball, and a pair of socks? It was like that, except all we had was bamboo, which served to be useless. Out of sheer desperation, I pushed with all my strength, thinking I somehow conjured up this superhuman strength, but it wouldn't budge. It was like I was pushing a wall. We were entirely stuck. And I started thinking, we gave it a good try, but clearly the boat's not moving, so who's coming to tow us out? My manager looks at me, she says, "No one is coming. Either we move this boat or we wait for the tide to come in." So you see, the thing is, the tide wasn't coming in at the time. The tide was actually going out, which means we would be on the water until after nightfall. And I had accepted my fate of stargazing on that hard fiberglass boat for the rest of the night. But my coworker was a little bit more motivated by the thought of having to ration out the little food that we had left. So she said, "Let's just give it one more go, and I'll do short pushes at the same time." So we push, the boat moves an inch. Then we push again, the boat moves another inch, and before we knew it, we were running with the boat. And we kept pushing to make sure that momentum didn't stop, but we were hugging and cheering. It was like at the end of a survival movie with the victory music blaring in the background. We had done it. But you see, I was left with two thoughts. One, I was primarily thankful to be out of the Delta, but two, I was a little disappointed in myself for giving up. Why do we give up when success could be an inch away? If only I had remembered back to a project I did with my roommates in college when we had just moved into our small ranch house. And the previous tenants had not done the best job maintaining the house, so we took it upon ourselves to implement some home improvements. And we fixed the yellow countertops and we scrubbed every inch of that house. But the one thing we were struggling to fix was this entirely blank wall that connected our kitchen to our dining area. There were all these holes from where screws had been drilled in. We did not have money to put towards decorating the wall, so it sat there blank. Now, my roommate found a small canvas that she could paint on that would not cover a fraction of the size of the wall, but it was better than what we currently had. So the three of us sat there, trying to think of the best things she could paint. What did we want our wall to say? A couple of us had undergone this training where we learned about a concept called a growth mindset. It's developed by Dr. Carol Dweck, a psychology professor at Stanford University. The premise is that with practice and hard work, I can do things that seem impossible at the time. And my roommates talked a lot about this because we were always saying things like, I'm gonna fail this test. I'll never get all this work done. I'll never be a good singer. We just needed to find a way to pivot from the I can't mentality to the I am able if mentality. I'm able if I study. I'm able if I put in the hard work. I'm able if I take singing lessons. To model this, my roommate decided to paint a reminder for us to adjust our mindsets. Now, the wall was still largely blank and the holes were still very obvious. So being the poor college students we were, we scavenged the house trying to find anything we could to fill the wall. And instead of having a lighter, a ball of wool, and a pair of socks situation, we found ourselves with a painting, some sticky notes, and a pen, thus creating the growth wall. And we found as many different colored sticky notes as we could, and on each note, we wrote a growth thought. Essentially, a growth thought acknowledges that with hard work, I can make progress. So if I start thinking, I'm a bad leader, the growth thought would be, I am able to lead others well. Obviously, I know I'm not a bad leader, but sometimes that's just how it felt. I just needed a reminder that I still have the ability to grow in my leadership abilities. Another one would be, I'll never get all this work done. So you pause. I can do one task at a time, and then inch by inch, you see that your boat starts to move. Now, you might be tempted to think of this wall as a wishing wall, where you just manifest good things to happen to you. I will win the lottery. No, it's not a wishing wall. It's a growth wall. There was this one day I got caught saying, I'm going to fail this chemistry test. My roommate told me, go right on the wall. So right, I'm going to pass my chem test. I put it on the wall, I go out, I take the test, and you will not believe what happened. I passed the test. All you gotta do is put it on the wall and it'll instantly come true. Not really, I failed the test. Completely failed it. So I tore down the wall of sticky notes and I vowed to never study again. Obviously, I didn't do that. It's not the point of the exercise, right? The goal is to remind myself that I still have the ability to grow and learn the course material. So what I actually did was I crossed out the word test and I wrote, I'm going to pass my chem class. The primary benefit of the wall is that it allows you to stop, evaluate the root cause of evaluate the legitimacy of your thought, and literally rewrite your thoughts so that over time it becomes habit. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed because I haven't taken time to stop and pinpoint the root cause of my stress. I will never get my boat unstuck. Is that thought true? No. What is true? I have the ability to find a way to free my boat. And now that I've accepted what I'm actually capable of, I can begin to work towards a solution. Now, the secondary benefit of the growth wall is that it opens you up to accountability. It is literally a public square that people will walk by every day. Maybe they'll read your note and be encouraged. Maybe they'll hear you say the words, I can't, until you go right on the wall. Hopefully they'll find themselves wanting to contribute to the wall as well. If you work remotely, try an online wall where people can virtually contribute notes. If you live alone, try it in the workplace. So who do you need in your boat? Who is going to be the person to tell you to keep pushing? Let's just go one more inch. It can make all the difference. Who are going to be the people that get out of the boat and push the boat with you? Very few of us operate completely independently. Maybe you just need a little bit of help to jumpstart your momentum. Who needs you in their boat? Maybe it's a group of coworkers on a project that just need a little bit of encouragement. Maybe your a high school math teacher whose students have given up before the semester even starts. These are the people you need to be utilizing the wall with, because when people listen to the way that we talk, we are much more aware of what we're saying and thinking. So what's your boat beached on? What holes do you need to cover with a sticky note and a new perspective? What holes do we each need to fill so that we can begin to move our boats together? Lately, my boat has been beached on wondering who thought I was qualified to give a TEDx talk. Then I remembered back to a note that I wrote with my roommate when we were dreaming about the possibilities of our wall. This is what it says. We can make this wall into a TEDx talk. And here we are.